Hello there everyone, thought I'd switch it up with a non-fighting game video this time, talking about probably the most played game franchise for me next to Tekken, which is Halo. Just for some context, Halo is my favorite shooter series. I was and still am pretty obsessed with the lore. It is my favorite in all the video games, and I can still say after all of these years, Halo Reach is still my favorite shooting game of all time. With that said, I was very excited for Halo Infinite, and even with various instances of troubling news of its development, blackouts in news of its development, and even being delayed into this year, I stayed very optimistic and just wanted more info. But some news recently came out that has tempered my expectations quite a bit and has me skeptical about the overall potential quality of the next Halo title, and that is the news that playable elites will not be returning as a feature. In the Halo series, there is a race known as the Sangheili, also known as Elites. They're a Saurian warrior race that serve as the main fighting force of the Covenant, a coalition of alien races all dead set on the destruction of humanity, typically armed with plasma rifles, energy swords, and energy shields to protect them from small arms fire. They are also much bigger and much stronger than humans. In fact, it is said in elite strength rivals that of a Spartan super soldier in their Mjolnir power armor, and some elites can even surpass it, leading to situations where in close quarter combat, an elite can disarm or overpower a Spartan, forcing them to either have to retreat or be added to the list of Spartans dubbed missing in action. In Halo 2, these warriors became a playable unit. In the campaign, players stepped into the shoes of a disgraced Sangheili fleet commander seeking redemption for his greatest failure. On his path, he discovers everything he knew was a lie, from his religion to his position, and he has to save his people from mass genocide, in the process saving the galaxy itself from destruction. The Elite player model also became available. The first unique customization feature added was to play as an entirely different character. A superior option to mere armor pieces, if you ask me. Every game with online multiplayer thereafter, from Halo 2 to Halo 3 and Reach, had playable elites. Then Halo 4 came along and cut them as a feature entirely. The reason being that Halo 4's multiplayer is supposedly also part of the campaign, as in it is canon with the Halo mythos, suggesting that what you do in Halo 4 multiplayer are training simulations, and it was dictated by 343 that the elites did not want to participate. The decision to only have Spartans playable continued through Halo 5, and on March 11, 2021, it was confirmed Halo Infinite will not have playable elites. This decision is unacceptable at this point, and the fact that the Halo games moved so far away from elites in the lore and in the multiplayer was a colossal failure on 343's part.
It was heresy.
The elites are my favorite aspect of Halo, their design and general behavior loosely based on one of my favorite movie monsters, the Predator. The Arbiter is my favorite character. I main him in Killer Instinct. The Killer Instinct team cared more about Halo's dual antagonist than 343 did. At every available avenue, I play as an elite. According to 343 Apologist, this is a non-essential matter of opinion. I'm here to say that a feature that was available in 2004 not being available in a AAA title in 2021 is objectively a problem, regardless of whatever excuses you can come up with to justify it. Acknowledging when content one enjoys is being cut from a game franchise does not make them a Bungie fanboy or Halo purist. You can choose to forget what's wrong with Halos 4 and 5 all you want, but it has nothing to do with Bungie or 343. I don't play Destiny, nor do I play the Halos after Reach. It's not because of the companies, it's because of the products they produced. The older Halos are entertaining to me, and it's not a matter of nostalgia or fanaticism, it's a matter of they still hold up, regardless of opinion, because there was little to nothing wrong with them when they came out. Nothing's perfect, but they were objectively good when they were released, and 343 moved away from how they functioned in several aspects. It gives reason to stick with them or return to the Master Chief Collection, and only having elites be playable in the Master Chief Collection still after all these years is another reason to keep doing so. Halo isn't new, it's a franchise. What's good about it was established before 343. And when they started changing and cutting things, that's what warranted Halo's decline and me not buying or playing their products. To have the audacity to make it seem as if this is a non-issue is the actual issue. Every comment or outlook made by a 343 apologist in favor of this decision boils down to two arguments. I don't see that many in the Master Chief Collection when I play, or it's just a cosmetic, bro. Calm down. Well, I play as an elite, so I see elites every time I play. I also play Invasion, one of the best designed game modes in all of Halo, and I find matches in that faster than looking for a free-for-all match with every Halo except Halo 4 in my queue, like as an option to be placed in. So step outside of your own experience. It doesn't define everything as far as how the game is played, as far as how many people play as elites. Both of our experiences will be in the domain, not just yours. As for the idea that this is just cosmetic, if it's such a non-essential cosmetic or skin over your Spartan, why is it such a problem to be implemented? Why isn't an elite head, legs, arms, etc. just an unlockable armor piece? Like those ugly helmets 343 has been forcing upon us since 2012. Could it be because it is actually way more than a cosmetic and is in fact another playable unit that will require a weapon swap, melee, and other animations in the first and third person, as well as unique assassination animations against Spartans and other elites? Could it be that this is a feature and not a mere aesthetic choice, but the equivalent of another character to play as? So not only is this cutting an aspect of Halo that was there long before 343 got there, it's also just objectively cutting content. Yeah, I feel owed this because it was given to me before and I enjoyed it, and now there's no reason for it actually to be gone. I would rather be a purist or a loyalist to those who have done right by me than an apologist to those who have taken from me. So with the community's 2 cents addressed, let's talk about what was actually said by the 343 representative when this was announced. I forgot his name, I don't care. I just want to say, although I appreciate the transparency and I have no ill will towards that dude, because I kind of feel bad for him because he basically had to just say no 3 times in a row about stuff people might want back, and that the dynamic weather system isn't as dynamic as I think they and all of us thought it was going to be. I feel bad for him, and I hope he's okay, quite frankly. He kind of looked tired. I cannot say I agree with his reasoning for no playable elites. Every single thing he said as a point as to why they can't come back is problematic and more of an excuse than logic and reasoning. The first thing he says after, a fair, no, we aren't planning on it. The reason is that these are the objective reasons. That was his wording, like it or not. This is a Master Chief story and a Spartan story, especially in multiplayer. Okay, so more of this multiplayer is canon nonsense. That doesn't improve the state of the game in any way. It does not help the multiplayer be more fun or competitive or anything, any aspect of the gameplay in any way. In theory, it shouldn't take anything away from it either. But it is. They are using it as an excuse to take away features. And all that's going to do is generate ill will towards, again, I've always said this was a problem. The multiplayer doesn't need to be canonized. If you don't want an elite protagonist, that's fine. Because he also mentioned that, there's no playable elite in the single player. Reach didn't have one either. Reach didn't have an elite protagonist either. But they still gave us a separate game mode where you can play as them. This is not logic. This is someone just talking. He then goes on to say, we just want to focus on how Spartans battle each other, make sure it's fair and competitive and balanced. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. First of all, this has me nervous. With how long this game has been in development, are you still figuring out how the multiplayer works? Regardless of that, let's be clear. You don't care about balance. At the earliest opportunity, 343 took away fair starts, literally the most balanced situation possible. You all start with the same gun. And you replaced it with loadouts and ordnance drops and Promethean vision. You replaced set weapon spawns on the map for random weapon spawns with a visible timer, like letting people know, hey, this is what's going to be here. You don't care about balance, period. You can use it as an excuse for 2 core reasons. Elites are bigger and they don't have thrusters. They range from 7 feet like a Spartan to like 10 feet tall. And their neck length and posture has changed from game to game. Some iterations, it was suggested they were easier to kill because their heads jutted out farther, giving them a headshot in the chest. Others suggested it was harder because they supposedly had a Spartan hitbox over their underneath their model. This doesn't matter. Most sci-fi shooters have different sized characters, and I think the competitive community can adapt to a slightly different but still humanoid, bipedal, anatomical structure. If you play Apex and you play as Wraith in Gibraltar, the size difference is pretty much the same as a Spartan and an Elite. And Wraith has a passive that makes her harder to hit. And Gibraltar has a passive that makes him take less damage and not jostle when he gets hit. You can adapt, and if you can't adapt, they can relegate the Elites to a casual game type. As a fighting game player, I think this is weak sauce. Like Dota players and League of Legends players banning characters before a match. Your characters are so badly balanced that you need to ban them. And then there's these Halo players demanding strong scout rifles and samey hitboxes. You all sound weak to me. You all sound weak to a Tekken player. Especially because I played when everyone said Elites were easier to kill. That's Halo 2. The only gun that ever made it feel that way was the shotgun. There are definitely ranges where you'll kill an Elite in one hit, but you won't kill a Spartan in one hit. But that's my choice to make. If I want to play at that disadvantage because I like the character, that's my choice. I play the worst character in Tekken on the competitive side. That's my choice. And also, when it comes to Spartan abilities, here's what has me the most mad about this as an argument. Elites had advanced movement before Spartans. They have a sprint animation in Halo 1 compared to their regular strafing and moving around. There's a position where they'll run with their plasma rifle out in front of them, and they'll move quicker towards you, shooting at you. They're literally Titanfalling it. They're running and shooting at the same time. Halo doesn't even have that as a feature. The Elites had that in Halo Combat Evolved in 2001. In Halo 2, Elites could mantle before Spartans could mantle in Halo 5, climbing up to higher ledges. And in Halo 2, they had a more advanced thruster pack. There were Ranger Elites that could hover, float around, get around quicker, get to higher positions, and unleash hell on you with dual-wielding plasma rifles. You could literally copy and paste Spartan abilities over Elites if you wanted to. It would make sense in the lore. We've seen it before. Personally, I'd prefer if Elites had their own abilities. What if instead of a grappling hook, because apparently that's going to be a thing, I don't even know if that's going to be a thing in multiplayer, Elites had like a shield, like an energy shield on their wrist. I don't know. But they're not going to do anything like that. Why? Basically, all that would be too hard, and we got to make sure the Spartans work. The last thing that he said before just like closing off and moving on to the next topic was essentially, you know, we love Elites, never say never, maybe one day, but the current plan is you're going to be playing as Spartans. I'm not sure that you do. The last time an Elite did something cool in this franchise was the Halo 2 anniversary terminal explaining what the Arbiter did when he was still a fleet commander. You've reduced them to bullet sponges in set pieces to make Spartan 4s look cooler. You brought back the Arbiter in Halo 5 just to waste his time with talk. Literally, he doesn't do anything. I don't appreciate it. I especially don't appreciate this never say never nonsense. Because you're backpedaling, because this is a game as service in this modern era where a game can't just be a game. It has to have an extended lifespan to pump more money out of us for it. You're trying to make it seem like you're going to add them later. There's no confirmation. If you had given me some form of confirmation, I'd be okay with this, but I don't want, maybe in the future, maybe if you put some money down and invest, trust that we'll pay you back for your investment. Like, no. It's a video game. I want a product. I want a product with what I want in it to be there. I'm going to be fully honest. Part of the reason I want Playable Elites back is because in every game where they've been playable, they do cool stuff in the story or in the cutscenes. I just want that back because, the Arbiter in Halo 2 does all the same stuff that the Chief did in Halo Combat Evolved in his own way with different situations, different enemies, different Halo ring, but still pretty much the same situation. He clears through a library the same way the Chief did, kills several brutes, kills the leader of the brutes, kills Tartarus, and then stops the Halo array from firing. The reality of it is there's no Master Chief story to continue without the Arbiter, without the Elites. Can you act like it, please? That's all I ask. I am still excited for Infinite. even with this poor decision being made, it would appear that other decisions are being made to make Halo feel like Halo again. This game had me hooked the first time I saw the classic design of Chief's armor on screen. With the confirmation of no playable elites, I can't help but be skeptical. I was ignoring all the rumors and things I've heard about this game's development. Didn't a director quit? I was trying not to consider Halo 4 or Halo 5 when forming my opinions and making my judgments on what information I've been getting about this game. I may be one of the only people who believes that the graphical fidelity of this game isn't that big of an issue. I get the armor looks kind of flat, kind of like plastic. I also get that I don't care. If it's fun and has a solid quantity of quality content, I could care less how it looks, as long as it's fun and it plays well. This news drops, and it's the first piece of news to make me upset, and all of a sudden I'm the bad guy? I'm the Bungie fanboy who needs to get over it? I don't need to do anything but stay black and die. As far as I'm concerned, this is news that makes me think there's only two ways this is going to go. Either it drops and I enjoy it, or it comes out and I don't. Either way, I'll still be playing Invasion on the Master Chief Collection. Because for the foreseeable future, that will be the only place where I can play as my favorite unit in my favorite game mode in all of Halo.